Greetings! This is another video and a new game on the channel. This is Flyout, basically Sprocket but for planes. And I have to admit something, I don't really know a lot about planes. I know that they fly and they have guns, and that's pretty much all a simple-minded individual like me needs to know about them. And I would like to give a shout out to Patch, because I first saw this game on his channel, and another shout out to Messier, because I enjoy his content too. And here is a personal recommendation of one of his videos, because I really like this specific plane. Anyways, let's begin. Our first subject will be the first ever plane I made in this game, so say hello to Mr. Failure. So Mr. Failure over here doesn't work at all, and that's why I gave it that name. So the story behind this one is people recommended new players to make jet planes first, because propellers are a bit of a pain in the ass to set up, so of course I made a propeller plane. And of course it doesn't work at all, because I kinda didn't know that gearboxes existed in this game. So yeah, it's completely functionless. And another thing about this one, it took me 2.5 hours to make, but not because it's complicated, but because I was trying to understand how the controls work and trying to understand how the building mechanics work. So yeah, it's bad, it doesn't work, let's just move on. Let's continue with my second ever plane in this game, which functions a lot better than the last one. And this would be the HGS 200-2. Now, if you are familiar with my naming system and are a bit confused, or alternatively you are unfamiliar with my naming system, here's a short explanation. So yes, here's a short explanation of how my naming system works. Let's now talk about this thing over here. It flies like a brick. It of course has two turbines, because I gave up trying to make propellers work. It has two 30mm guns and three 20mm guns. Now, as I said, it flies like a brick, so let me show you the HGS 200-2-2. Now, what changed? It became longer, and if I remember correctly, I modified the turbines a little bit, although I'm not sure about that, but it flies a bit better. So let's see how it performs. Alright, let's see how this thing flies. As you can see, it struggles to keep itself straight, and just to be sure, I'm going to decrease the audio. And I think this one still has inverted controls, so it pitches up when I press S and down when I press W. Yes, that's exactly the case. And as I said, for its previous version, it flies like a brick, but it has pretty good pitch, so I guess this one flies more like an elegant brick. I'm not even sure what that is, but it flies like one. So it has some maneuverability, as you can see, although the inverted pitch controls do give me a headache. And it can also fire. This is not exactly an impressive firepower, at least compared to what comes up next. So yes, this would be the HGS 200-2-2. Now let's move on to better designs. Alright, let's continue with my fourth design, the HGS 200-3. This thing has an increased firepower, and is basically an evolution on the concept of the last two planes. It has 6 30mm guns, 6 20mm guns, and 2 45mm guns. It also has turbines and the... a visual bug. That's not a big deal. It has very ugly turbine coverings. And yeah, it's basically the same as the last two, but as I said, an evolution on their concepts. So let's see how this thing flies. Alright, let's start the turbines. This thing has even more troubles keeping itself straight than the last one, so I'm just going to make it steer even more, so I can at least avoid the houses, although I can actually go through them. But an imaginary collision is still a collision, so I would like to avoid them. And let's pitch up, and it flies. Nice. Oh, I think I damaged my tail a little bit. Happens sometimes, what can I say? This thing flies like a drunk elephant. Yes, it flies like a drunk elephant. It's really not maneuverable at all. Well, all the guns really added a lot of weight to it. But in return, it has far greater firepower than the previous two planes, which had, as I said, 2 30mm and 3 20mm guns. So yes, this flies. It's pretty damn slow, at least in acceleration. It can actually get up to 1060 km per hour top speed, but it does take a while to get up to there. So I'm not going to wait. Let's see the next design, because it's really the best out of all of these. Alright, as for the last plane, I'm actually going to show its prototype first. So say hello to the HGS-202-1, or at least its prototype. So as you can see, it has 4 propellers, 4 engines with them as well. 2 of them are pushers and 2 of them are pullers, and it has 32 machine guns altogether. It has 2, 4, 7 behind the frontal propellers, and I'm not going to do the math here. And let me show you the finished product too. This is, as I said, a prototype, more of a proof of concept than anything that was meant to be functional. So here is the HGS-202-1 Hailstorm. Now, this thing has multiple upgrades over its prototype. First of all, it has 50 machine guns, 2 very powerful radial engines, and it flies a lot better. So let's see how it does its thing. Alright, let's start the engines. It also has troubles keeping itself straight. I don't know why this is the case. But I mean, it's not that big of a deal, and as you can hear, or rather can't hear, the game has troubles performing the calculations to make the noises of the engines happen, so they are completely silent. This is exactly how you make a stealth aircraft. You just make the engine so loud the game engine can't even process it. So yes, and as for the 50 machine guns, I'm going to increase the audio, so huge audio warning, but you must hear this, and don't be surprised when the audio engine gives up while firing. yeah, it's a pretty terrifying sound if I have to be honest. If I was a soldier on the ground and I heard this noise, I would legit shit my soul out. And it's pretty much its main purpose for this hailstorm plane. It's basically a psychological warfare weapon. So yes, it has a lot of guns. Of course it has 50, and why would you ever put this many guns in a plane if you will not use it for psychological warfare? I don't know. It was a poetic question. I am not seeking an answer to this one. So yes, this is probably my favorite one out of all of these planes I showed off, and I think that's it for today. So thank you for paying attention. If you liked the video, hit the dislike button. If not, hit the dislike button. If you want to, you can unsubscribe and tell me in the comments what you thought of my first planes in this game. So bye.